the inherent destruction of that aspect of your ego only allows you to actually begin to build a new thing based on your ego again. And this is a more limited engagement with the resistance. And I actually, that whole thing about, small is beautiful, think locally, shop locally, act locally, help locally, you really do change the world in yourself, and you can change it in others. But I can't ever see the day that is going to be a grand solution, and all it'll lead to is heartbreak and frustration, hoping that will happen. But if you can have little small victories, one at a time in your own life, either waking someone up, helping someone else, or showing someone else to not be dependent, and even in a small way on the system, there's a tremendous satisfaction in that.
Okay, thanks. At the moment, and I'm not sure that I'm going to even, include this in what I put online, but at the moment, I've been having quite a few thoughts about creating some kind of I don't know how to call it. Today I was speaking to a friend. I was creating some kind of sort of global disorganization. Like to create some kind, and the reason I'm sharing this with you is because I like the way that you challenged this whole Russell Brand thing, and I'm kind of open to being challenged on my crazy ideas.
That's very healthy. That's very healthy. That's good.
Yeah. So one of my crazy ideas, and perhaps this crazy idea is still sort of based in the delusion that that something bigger can happen, but the idea was to create a kind of a social experiment, a kind of global social experiment, where an alliance of people from all over the world, that's based on perhaps sort of one idea and one fundamental principle. The idea being that anybody involved in this very, very loose, disorganized alliance would agree that we don't want to play this game anymore. So it would be called like changing the game or something like that. I don't know what it would be called, but some alliance of people who are clear that they don't want to be playing this game anymore. They may not know what other game to play, but they know that they don't want to be playing this game anymore. And the idea behind that is firstly to start to get into people's consciousness that this is a game, that we are in a game. And it's a game with some very, very bent rules. And even the rules of their game, it's their game, not our game. And they play it their way. And when it suits them, they keep to the rules. And when it doesn't, they don't. And so to have an alliance of kind of individuals, and based on the idea of we don't want to play the game, and based on perhaps a single guiding principle that
like enough is enough, or I'm not playing, that kind of a thing. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, enough is enough. I'm not playing a game, right? Yeah. And based on the principle of being compassionate to as much of life as much as I can to the best of my ability. That's what, anybody in this alliance, that's what we're up for. We want to be as compassionate as we can, and we don't want to play this game anymore. We don't know what game we want to play necessarily, but we don't want to play this one. And we've realised that it is a game, and it's this game that's actually responsible for the problems, and trying to fix the game is not going to do anything really. It might, I'm not saying that one shouldn't do anything about it, but that fixing the game is not where it's at. What we want is to play a different game, and and this sort of global disorganization, people would do all sorts of different things. You could be part of this disorganization, and live in a small community in some rural area, or you could do what I'm doing, or you could even have political sort of initiatives, and And as it's a global, as it's an experiment, a social experiment, the outcome isn't really that important. So, but you could have like political people standing and sort of creating their own, political stuff. I've got lots of ideas about, sort of funny stuff, taking the piss out of politics, but in a kind of half serious way, like I do. So that's the kind of idea. I need to write it down probably and articulate it a little bit better. But I wanted to share that with you. That's where I am at the moment, and and shoot it down if you feel like it, because I'm open to that.
Okay, I like most of what I hear. It's great. I do like the idea. I do. I think. It's the beautiful part. I love what you said about there is no particular solution, and I think that's glorious. I love that part. You see, the thing is, Danny, just because a solution isn't offered up immediately or provisionally doesn't mean that solution will not manifest in the future.
Right.
So that's the beauty of that. So I love that. I absolutely love that. That is not revolution. Revolution just brings you back to where you start. That's true evolution. That is. So let's see what happens. I love that. Absolutely love that part of it. Running in politics, I don't know about that bit because I believe the political system is absolutely dead.
Oh yes, I know it is, and that's what I'm saying. But I'm saying that
to go in there and make fun of it and things like that.
Yeah, to go in there and make fun of it, to go in there and say we're not playing. To say, look, we know what this game is. We're not playing this game anymore. We've got another game to play, and have lots of radical ideas and funny ideas, and I like that a lot. Like for example, one of the things I thought of, like, if I was to stand or someone was to stand, is to put things like change the names of the ministries. The Ministry of Defence would be called the Ministry of Offence. The Ministry of Education would be renamed the Ministry of Indoctrination.
I like that satire. That's brilliant.
Satire,
that's great. Yeah. I really like that a lot, and I really like where you're going with this. This definitely works for me because it could be global as well. It doesn't have to be a British or anything like that. It could go anywhere, and I really like the idea. The thing for me, the beauty is there's no solution yet. So and you have and to be candid about this, when people will say, and have Jeremy Paxman saying, "Well, what is your solution?" You can just say, "We don't know yet."
Yeah.
I love the beauty of that. I absolutely love that. And that's when you'll find. You see, what happens is when you have a predetermined solution or a trajectory for any kind of movement, you're kind of locked within that kind of dogma.
Yeah.
But what you're proposing is almost like it's almost like chaos. It's almost like chaos theory applied to a sort of an activist idea. I absolutely love that. Yeah, I'm down with that. I really like. The more I'm thinking about this, the more I think this is the way to go. I really like the idea of it being flexible. Once it doesn't have a charter, once it doesn't have a list of demands, to tie it around one idea. That's a great idea. Like the whole concept of I'm out of here, like that, something like that. That would be a great catch one. Like
right.
I'm out of here. What do you mean out of here? I'm out of here. I'm done. My attitude, like, if you listen, I already heard my other stuff, but I believe that we as human beings, it doesn't matter if we're living in Ireland or UK or Germany, France, America, any Australia, anywhere, we have a toxic relationship with the actual control systems in our country, the political systems, the corporate systems. And it's just like a toxic relationship with a friend or someone you work with in an organization or a romance. You have to say, look, it's not fucking working anymore. It's got to end. I'm out of here. It's best for you and it's best for me if I'm out of here. So I love that idea of like we had a catchphrase like that to say, look, I'm out of here. That's it. I'm done. I've had enough. I'm not playing on your chessboard anymore. I don't know where I'm going. I am going into new territory. There's no map. There's no compass. But you know what? I don't care because I'd rather take my chances with the mystery than actually be locked into the fantasy of some kind of conclusion in the current system that will never manifest at the end of the day. Yeah, I think it's great. I love it. And the more I'm thinking about it now, the more you say this, the more I like it. I do. It's something that could be like very easily branded, something that could have just like a catchphrase. I'm out of here. And that's the end of it. And then someone say, "But you're not really an organization." You say, "Yeah, well, I agree. We're not.
No,
We're not
absolutely.
supposed to be."
Well, that's why I sort of the comedy element I was thinking of is to call it a disorganization.
Yeah, that's a great
It's a
idea.
disorganization.
Disorganization. Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
Um,
I think it's great. I don't think it's done. I think I think you see that's a much better idea than what you think it is. I think you've really tapped into something good there.
and oh, thank you. And
Yeah.
I was thinking, so that you get asked these questions like you were saying before, by Jeremy Paxman. Um, what's your solution? And the idea would be, well, until we're actually sitting on the seats, in the parliament, wherever that parliament, whatever country that's in, how could we really know? I mean, do they know? Does David Cameron did he have any clue what he was getting himself into when he was in the opposition? Did he really know what he was getting himself into?
Yeah, the beauty of having no fixed structure or no fixed agenda is much more powerful in so many ways because it will cause people to actually think things in different ways rather than them being literal. So, for instance, when Paxman says, "Well, what do you want?" and that actor said, I want a socialist egalitarian," that kind of thing. And all he was doing was whipping out a format and a structure and a framework.
I thought to
So there was
myself,
no solution. There was no solution there.
it's like you could do a skit and you could have Russell Brand and then someone playing his girlfriend, and the night before saying, "Listen, when you go on the BBC, just tell them you want an egalitarian." What was the words he used?
Socialist free system with a massive transfer of wealth.
That's right. And he just tell him, and you could imagine him sort of, and he would be just rehearsing it. We
Yeah,
want a
yeah,
social
yeah.
egalitarian, so like he knows what he's talking about. Do you know what I mean?
Didn't even know what it was. And here's something, to tie in what your idea is, Danny. Here's something really interesting, right? Uh, I wrote that when that program was on. I saw the video the next day. I wrote a small article on my blog, thinking it would go. That thing would just, and I shared it on Facebook, and I was absolutely savaged. I mean, some of the things, some of the psychotic messages I was getting on the blog, I couldn't even post them. They were like vicious and really personal. Like these
Wow.
people would have killed me. And as soon as I got on the red ice, and also a few other people like James Corbett stood up for me, my God, it changed completely and very quickly. And now all those instant sort of like fixers that wanted the instant fix from the
Yeah.
Russell Brand shot of dopamine, it's completely changed now. And now I'm getting a complete, like I'm almost getting a tsunami of support coming my way. Or else the people are saying, maybe we did jump in there a bit too quickly, which shows how fast our opinions can change. I'm not saying, I'm not taking credit for that, but it just goes to show you if you can pull people away from the idea of a solution, a fixed solution, I mean, an actual target to aim for, it liberates them and gets them free again. And they're less likely to become nasty and vicious and confrontational because they're no longer defending a dogmatic structure. When you just say, "Oh, fuck it, it's a free for all," well, what do they? If they don't know what the actual fixed agenda is, they have nothing to defend and develop any kind of confirmation bias about. And that's what I love about your idea. And that's what I was perfectly tolerant of Russell Brand through all that until he came out with the socialist angle, and I knew right there and then he was a puppet and somebody was feeding him lines.
Yeah.
And then those people jumped in. They got a shot of dopamine. They said after years of feeling like misfits, They were saying, look, he's just like one of us. He's on our side. Finally, we have a big celebrity. See, that's not healthy either, because that shows the shadow of many people, that they still really don't believe in themselves. They need a celebrity to validate it.